Greetings, everybody. Welcome to TV Skywriter. This is a very special edition because my guest is Mr. Bill Zink. Now, I did a TV Skywriter local edition yesterday, but hey, when you're in demand, what can you do, right? So I have Mr. Bill Zink here to talk about Enrich Life Over 50. I'm very curious about that. Mr. Zink, welcome to the show.
Please call me Bill.
Bill, okay. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Glad to be here.
So tell us about Enrich Life Over 50. I just turned 59, so this is really hitting me hard here. So tell us about Enrich Life Over 50, please.
Okay. Enrich Life Over 50, for short, it's ELO50, hopefully not only for short but also for long.
Okay.
It is an entity we created with the mission of enhancing the quality of life for people 50 and older.
Okay.
And there are presently 109 million people in the U.S. 50 and older. That's 1/3 of the total population.
Wow, that many.
That many. And,
Wow.
and growing by 9,000 every single day.
Wow. And so I'm a member of the baby boomer generation, so that's, wow. And I remember reading in the press release, all of the baby boomers at this point now are over the age of 50.
Yes, the youngest ones hit 50 by the end of last year.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. So when you say enrich, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about going out to eat or going to the museums or what?
Well, we are creating 27 chapters in major cities around the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Each chapter will have a maximum of 75 members, 50 and older.
Okay.
They will meet 10 times a year to focus on various topics that relate to what we call the pillars, the 7 pillars of successful aging. And would you like to hear those pillars?
Yes, please.
Okay. The most important one is to remain productively engaged. After that, we have to be socially connected, to eat a healthy diet, to work out regularly or otherwise stay fit, get adequate sleep, to manage financial resources effectively, and finally to be spiritually connected. Those are the 7 pillars of successful aging.
Okay, that sounds really good. I'm just curious, this might be off topic a little bit, but I wonder how many of us older people are also caregivers. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because a lot of us kind of forego our health because we're busy taking care of someone who's even older and sick.
Well, that certainly is a factor. As a matter of fact, some people refer to the baby boomers as the sandwich generation because they're sandwiched between taking care of or otherwise looking out for older people, their parents or even grandparents in some cases, and also still raising their own children.
Right, or grandchildren.
Or grandchildren. True.
Okay.
In fact, I have 5 children and 12 grandchildren, so I know what you're talking about.
Wow, congratulations. Wonderful. So when does this start? And actually, how is this going to really work? Are you going to have a like a big campaign to send out notices to all of the people over 50? Are you going to have some big media event?
No. What we're going to do is to start off with a pilot meeting on March 14 at the NCSU McKimmon Conference Center. For people 50 and older, and it's a no-charge meeting, and that will focus on the 7 pillars of successful aging. We have 5 speakers for this event, and the agenda is interesting because in 2 of the sessions we have husband and wife teams, and I believe actually that husband and wife teams are perhaps a sign of the future. So our first speaker is Andy Albright, who's the president and CEO of the Alliance, the Insurance Alliance, and and his wife, Jane. And then we have two people who are actively involved in SCORE, which is a part of the SBA, the Small Business Administration. SCORE people provide no-charge consulting assistance to people starting, creating, or actually building new businesses.
Mm-hmm.
The final speaker is a woman who is Jan Wassel, who is a professor of gerontology at UNC Greensboro.
Awesome.
We have an interesting agenda, and we would welcome people 50 and older to join us for this event.
Okay, so that's going to be on, what I have here is March 14th at NC State University's McKibben Conference Center. That's in Raleigh.
Yes.
Bill, are you finding that people over 50 are working longer than they did back in the olden days?
Well, can I ask what you mean by the olden days? 10 years ago? 50 years ago?
Well, when my parents, for example, were working, I do remember, okay, my mom was a teacher, and I do remember as a kid remembering that teachers were, I don't know if they were forced to or just asked to retire at age 65.
Well, that used to be a part of the law, but now you can't discriminate by reason of age, so you are not, companies can no longer retire people when they reach a certain age, with exceptions perhaps for the top level of executives.
Okay, okay.
So the answer is that, yes, things have changed dramatically. In fact, I believe that demographic change is one of the megatrends of the 21st century.
Hmm.
We have 30 years added to longevity from beginning to end of the 20th century. 30 years. That's a long time. And the question, there was a professor of economics at the University of Chicago named Gary Becker, well-known and a Nobel laureate, who wrote an article saying that the 30 years added to longevity in the 20th century was the greatest gift of that century. And it really is a great gift. And the question is how people can use that gift. And there are various ways, one of which is to continue working either on a part-time or full-time basis.
Right.
And in connection with working full-time, there are two possibilities. One is to create a new business, become an entrepreneur, or as march to your own drummer. Another is to become self-employed, and there are various other options to remain productively engaged.
Now, I learned something very important when I started my first newspaper in Chicago, my hometown, before I moved here to North Carolina. I had always heard criticisms of the black community, for example, saying that there are not enough black businesses that change hands, you know, from father to son, mother to daughter, et cetera, that most black businesses only last one generation. It was a big criticism, and I was wondering about that. When I started my newspaper, though, on the south side of Chicago, I was amazed. I had no idea that most of the businesses in the neighborhood were actually started by retirees, and that's something that went totally unnoticed by the media, I think, and by everyone who was complaining that businesses don't last long in, you know, in the black community. I had no idea, again, until I started meeting these people and you know, having them as advertisers. I just had no inkling that, for the most part, these were retirees starting new businesses.
Well, and there are some interesting statistics. For example, the Kaufman Foundation, which is it's in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, a focal point for entrepreneurship in America. They do an annual survey on entrepreneurship, and they break it down in part by various age levels. So here's a statistic. People 55 to 64 have, for the last 18 years, on average each year, created 8.7% more new businesses than people 20 to 34. That is good. Not only that, they have had a better success rate. And people tend to think about the younger people, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jeff Bezoses, etc. But actually, older people are increasingly creating more new businesses than younger people. And there's one more thing I'd like to say. Older people have what I call double ESP. That's an acronym we created that stands for experience, expertise, seasoned judgment, and proven performance.
Ooh, I like that. I'm writing that down.
Double, double ESP.
That's amazing. Excuse me for that sound there.
And
Um,
that's what younger
yeah,
people, that's what younger people don't have. It's not a criticism. It's simply a
sure,
fact.
sure. Well, you know, there was a guy, he's probably still in business in Chicago. He had a company called the Illinois Casket Company, and he was one of my advertisers when I was doing the South Side Scoop in Chicago. And I learned so much from him. From him, he was the head of marketing or communications with IBM back in the day. So these people who are starting new businesses, we're not talking about just people just, you know, just willy-nilly starting just these little hobby businesses. I mean, these are people with real expertise. And when you take the time to speak with them, you find out they're extremely wise. They've already had a career, and they just know so much.
Well, I think that's true. That would be added to double ESP, which would be wisdom. Doesn't
Right.
it doesn't quite go with it, but wisdom is another quality that older people can have. Not all people do, but a lot of them do have the wisdom that comes from those years of experience.
And not only that, but very often they know about failure as well, and they can give a lot more. How can I put it? They can be more productively kind to younger people starting businesses.
Yeah.
When you watch children's TV on the Disney Channel, for example, I'm a big fan of Disney. Very often they say you can fulfill your dreams if you just try. You know, if you work hard enough, if you believe. That's not always enough to make it. And very often you talk to older people, they can tell you about their failures and about how you've got to keep picking yourself up and keep trying.
Well, some people call failures learning opportunities.
Exactly.
And as a matter of fact, at a meeting we held in 2012, we had a speaker who, to use your term, failed 4 times.
Hmm.
The 5th time, having learned from those previous experiences, he created an extraordinarily successful company that he sold for about $1 billion to a major company. So I call failures learning opportunities.
Learning opportunities. I like that. I like that. Now, I think some people who are getting older would express this. I'm going to express this to you, and I just want to see what you have to say about it. There is a scary side of getting older, and that is outliving your money. I know a lot of older people are really worried about what happens when my regular income stops coming in, and that's actually one reason why my mom worked as she wanted to retire long before she actually did, because she really couldn't afford to. My dad had gotten ill. He only had to quit working because of his health, and my mom had to work much longer than she actually wanted to.
Well, that is a factor, and of course, the defined benefit pension plans have increasingly been replaced with 401ks to which companies contribute, but not as much money as they were contributing before. So
Yeah.
one of the 7 pillars of aging successfully is to manage your financial affairs, and that means starting long before you are ready to retire. And so, with regard to your concern, yes, it is a concern and a legitimate one. So I'd like to reach out to younger people who may be watching this program to urge them to start their financial planning long before they plan to retire. And as a matter of fact, I have an interesting, it's not a story, but I read about a survey which was co-sponsored by Merrill Lynch of over 7,000 pre-retirees and companies around the country, a national survey. 72% plan to continue working either full-time or part-time after they retire.
Absolutely. I'm not surprised at all, because is it still true that many men, when they quit working, that they die soon afterwards because they're so tied up in their work, that's their whole persona, their whole identity? I don't know. I hope it's still not true, but I know that used to be true back in the day.
As a matter of fact, that's a very good point, because there have been surveys done. For example, the MacArthur Foundation did a survey on aging and a study on aging in America, and here is what they learned. People 50 and older who continue working, as opposed to those who move to the sidelines, report a greater enjoyment with life, have better health, and live 4 to 5 years longer than people who simply retire and sit on the sidelines.
Wow.
So yes, that answers the point that's a response to the point you made.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm very interested in attending this meeting. Now, this first pilot meeting is going to be March 14th in Raleigh, but you said you wanted to start at least 27 chapters around the country. Have you identified all the cities yet?
We have a list of 27 cities, and we are creating those chapters on a phased basis. In the last part of 2015, for example, we will be creating chapters in Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. And I could read you the list of the 24 others, but they're major.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, go ahead.
Major cities around the country, and as a matter of fact, the first one in 2016 is Charlotte.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah, tell us some of the others.
Well, I can actually read them to you. They're You'll probably want me to stop at some point, but
no, go ahead.
Here we go. We're talking about Charlotte, Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Richmond, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Chicago, Memphis, Miami. Is that enough?
Oh, keep going, keep going.
Milwaukee, Minneapolis, New Orleans, St. Louis, Tampa, Dallas, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, Oklahoma City, Portland, Reno, San Francisco, and Seattle. A total of 27. Each chapter will have a chapter head who will be paid by us and plan, organize, and chair the 10 meetings each year. And also each chapter may have special interest groups, like, for example, one on new business creation, another on self-employment, or on various other ways of remaining productively engaged, because there are ways of doing it that go beyond working. You can go back to school and enhance your learning. You can learn a new instrument. You can learn to paint. You can become a mentor. You can teach. You can write. There are various ways that you can continue in productive engagement. It's not just working.
I wonder if in other cities there are organizations like OLLI. Have you heard of OLLI here in Durham?
I have heard of OLLI. As a matter of fact, I was in Raleigh last week. I was there all day Friday, and I met briefly with the woman who heads OLLI. She is housed in the McKimmon Conference Center, and I just had an email from her this morning saying that she's planning to contact her members about coming to our event. So OLLI is a very good organization. So it's a learning organization for older people, and the range of topics they cover is excellent.
Really wonderful. I think they're affiliated with Duke somehow, if I'm not mistaken. And I can't remember what it stands for, but I know the first two letters, OL, are Osher Learning. I forget what the LY is.
Lifelong learning. Lifelong learning something. Institute, maybe. But.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds about right. Yeah.
And it's a very worthwhile organization, because learning is one of the important ways that older people can remain productively engaged.
Exactly. It's kind of controversial, but some people say that if you keep your mind engaged, then you lessen the chance to get Alzheimer's or dementia. Some people say it's not necessarily true. I don't know what the truth is, to tell you the truth.
Well, I can't speak for the world, but I can tell you that I'm 87 years old.
Whoa.
And that my mind is still pretty good.
Wow. Okay, you are sharp. Okay. Okay.
I think it's a matter of the following the 7 pillars. For example, eating a good diet. I'm not anal about it, but I eat a good diet. I work out 4 times a week.
Okay.
And I'm a big believer in physical fitness.
Okay, that's good. That's real good. I started doing more walking. I'm not doing a lot of real physical stuff, at least not until the gardening season starts back up. But I do like to walk, which is
Walking is one way of remaining physically fit.
I prefer gardening, but what can you do, right?
Well,
Now,
you could have an indoor, you could have a hothouse. Add a hothouse onto your residence.
now that would be fun. I might look into that one day because there's a way to do that with bales of straw. Now, I've been thinking about it, but we'll see. Now, as far as your meetings, are they going to be more informational, formal, or are they going to be more like social events?
Well, you're talking about the pilot meeting we have coming up on March 14. And
Yes, also the subsequent meetings that you said we'll be having 10 times a year.
well, they will be focused on various aspects of leading more productive and value-added lives.
Mm-hmm.
Value-added, for example, would encompass going to taking additional courses, either online or in a local educational institution. There are community colleges, and
Mm-hmm.
also the colleges and universities have evening programs. So learning is one important way. And as a matter of fact, I have a favorite saying: "Learn as if to live forever, live as if to die tomorrow."
Wow, I like that.
You should be. It's important to learn every day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now,
so
I,
going
go
back,
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
back to your question, the meeting on March 14
Uh-huh.
will not just be an opportunity to listen and learn, but there will be equal time for participants to ask questions and raise issues on which they would like information from the speakers. So
Okay.
it'll be an interactive event. Learning will be part of it. Another part of it will be inspirational,
Oh,
to inspire older people. Our target audience is 100 to 150 people, and our target audience is intended to stimulate people to
mm-hmm.
to add value to their lives, to do new and different things, not just to sit on the sidelines, but to become productively engaged in one way or another.
Okay. Now, in cities where they already have, for example, senior centers or organizations like Ali, where older people take classes and have ballroom dances and whatnot, where do you think you're going to fit in with ELO50? Are you going to try to carve your own niche in cities that already have senior centers, or are you going to work with senior centers?
Well, we will be a national organization. You do have pockets where people are working on the local level or even the regional level, but there is no national organization like ELO50, which will ultimately have regional and even national meetings that bring people together from different parts of the country, all with a common interest to remain productively engaged as they get older. So yes, the senior centers are useful. Ali is very useful in teaching people and helping people to learn and remain engaged. But we will be a national organization that brings people together on the local, regional, and national levels.
Nice, nice. I like that. Okay, so let's tell the folks again that we are talking with Bill Zinke about Enriched Life Over 50, and you shorten that to ELO50. I like that. So this is going to be a national network. It'll be kicked off in Raleigh on March 14th. So basically, it's going to be from 9:15 in the morning until 12:30 in the afternoon, right?
We're starting off at 9 o'clock. There'll be a registration with coffee at 8:30. The meeting will start promptly at 9. It will end with a short break at 12:30, and then there will be refreshments and socializing.
Okay, I'm glad you straightened that out. Okay.
We changed the timing a little bit.
That's fine. That's fine. That's good. So this is going to be at North Carolina State University's McKimmon Conference Center in Raleigh.
Yes.
And then how long after that will you kick off the other 26 chapters?
well, actually 27, because Raleigh was not originally on our list, but then we decided we'd do a pilot meeting. We had Charlotte on our list, but we're talking about 27 major cities, and while the Research Triangle and Raleigh are interesting, they're not as large as the cities that we have selected. So this is a pilot meeting in order to listen, learn, and be better prepared to organize the 27 chapters. But, however, if enough people in the meeting want to have a Research Triangle chapter, we might have a 28th chapter.
Yeah, don't leave us out. I think our population is what, about 550,000 for the whole triangle, something like that.
I have yeah, and I don't think it's quite that much, but it's close. And 1/3, as with the whole country, 1/3 are 50 and older.
Amazing. I had no idea we had those numbers. Wow.
As a matter of fact, I thought I had it handy, but it's you're in the ballpark at 500,000, and 140,000 or 150,000 are 50 and older.
Wow. Now, how can people learn more about this, and how can they keep up with your progress? Is there a website they can go to?
I am glad you asked that question. The website is ELO50.com.
Simple. I like that. Simple to the point. ELO50.com. There you go. Okay. Anything else you wanted to tell us before we say goodbye to our audience?
Yeah, there are a couple of things I'd like to mention. One is, I have two favorite sayings. One is, you don't stop having fun when you get older. You get older when you stop having fun.
I like that one. I've heard that one. I like that.
The other one I like is, age is mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter.
Oh, I like that one. That one I have not heard. I like that a lot. Well, I certainly hope to meet you on March 14th, Bill, and I'm really glad that Leah Schultz set this up. This is very nice of her to set this up.
I'm delighted to have met you and look forward to having you join us on March 14th.
Absolutely. And with that, I say goodbye to you now. Okay, folks, this has been a very special edition of TV Skywriter Local Edition. If you'd like to be a guest on my show or on my regularly scheduled show on Sundays, where I talk to people all over the world, so to speak, just write to me, Durham, Skywriter, at gmail.com. You can also get information. I'm going to have information on this in the February issue of the, excuse me, the Durham Skywriter, that's Durham, North Carolina's online community paper. I'm going to rerun that information in the March issue as well.
Excellent.
So with that, thank you very much, Bill.
My pleasure. Nice to have been with you.
Okay, folks, you have a great day, and I'll see you real soon. Ciao.
Do the same. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.